Welcome to another Plan 6 parts video. Welcome to the next part of tr6 gearbox rebuild. Alright, so now we have our lay shaft in, our counter shaft. If you haven't seen where I got to that, go look at my video where I do the end play for this. So this is in, but I haven't fixed the plate in the front, nor have I have the retainer in at the back. It's just sitting here for them now because I'm going to do the reverse gear. So what I'm doing in this video is going to make it short. I'm going to put the reverse gear in, about to go through with it, and then we're going to assemble the parts of the main shaft to get ready to actually go in. So we are going to do the reverse gear right now. So here's our reverse gear linkage. A few things to note with this. One is this does actually screw completely out. So when you go to put it back in, if you've taken it right off, make sure you leave at least 2 to 3 threads on this side. That actually allows it to go full movement. Best to do is just have it not flush, but just in a bit, and that should be more than enough to go in. I've put a tiny bit of bearing grease on here because that splines and goes into the side, so just to make sure it goes in. I'm not too worried because that flushes up against the end of it, so as long as it's on the spline end, that's fine. I'm just going to wipe it a bit. Just want to stop it. You don't have to put it on, but like you can put a grease on it. I just put it on to try stop it from rusting, just so it stays lubricated. Alright, make note. When you put this in, you go to thread this on. What you'll find is that if you don't get the splines right in, you'll find that as you go to screw it, it'll just start threading itself in, and it'll eventually keep going until it hits this, and then it'll start pulling. So you have to make sure that you keep pressure on it to make sure that the splines go in, so when you start tightening it, that it pulls in and doesn't start spinning. So remember, the long shaft goes down, if you're wondering which end is which. But if you've taken your apart, you should already have made note of this and everything and all that jazz. Alright, so I'm just going to put my hand in here and I'm going to push in, just squeeze as best I can to keep the splines in, while I go put the washer and the nut on. Oops, wrong way around. Okay, I want to make sure that just it's starting to pull without it actually treading off. Once I get it to there, I'm going to tighten it the rest of the way when I find my ratchet. Oh, there it is here, it's right in front of me. Oh, God. So this is set at 20 pounds. On that side so I can actually get it to you. Alright, there we go. So that's on a 20, and again, make sure that the threads are exactly where it was. This is nice and loose, and that it's not flush to the back of this. I know it's a little dark in here because it's unfortunately the time of the year. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is actually put in the actual reverse gear. So here's our reverse gear here. I have a bit of oil on it, although to be honest, a bit of grit on it. And obviously there is on the inside you can push this out like a bushing. You can press that out and put a new one in if you really wanted it. This one seems pretty fine, so I haven't done it. I am going to put a bit of oil in it, obviously, because I want to make sure there's oil everywhere, like doing an engine. Alright, so the shaft itself, here's the shaft that goes in. Obviously I had a lubricant and I put it down, so the unfortunate thing is though, so obviously grit would have got stuck to it. So make sure you have it good and clean before it goes in. You don't want any grit or dirt on it. If anyone's wondering what oil I'm using, it's actually Gearbox oil. It actually is the Gearbox and diff oil I'm actually using. You can use a grease or a paste. There is a transmission lube, the same as the Gearbox, a pre-lube assembly. Alright, so the shaft is going to go in. Gear. Remember which way it goes. So I need to forget myself. The the recess, if you want to call it, goes towards the rear. That's what catches, all right? So it faces this, so the actual gear itself is against the plate. And that goes pretty much all the way through until it protrudes at the far end. And then obviously you want to make sure that it works by moving your gear. As you can see, sorry about the light, smooth, look at that, nice and smooth, exactly the way you want it. Right. So now I'm actually going to fit the thing to the back, the retainer, which is the plate. Now, what I've noticed these plates is when you get a new plate, I suggest just to get the machine, just edge the corner just enough, because I noticed that they're not greatly cut and there's always a bit of a bore in it or some of that and it gets stuck. So just give it a bit of a machine and smoothen it off just before you put it on. So, I'll go to the back here and put it on. The hard part is getting the two of them to line up, that this just slides in between. Sometimes you have to pull them out a tiny bit because it's just too much pressure. And that's why I didn't close up the front yet, because I can actually do that. I can just push it out or push it in wherever I need it to be to allow it to slide down. Stuff in it. Now this should just slide in between. I know you can't really see me do it, but again, that's an ideal world. But ideal is never what we get. Now you could put it in one side and actually spin it around to get it to go in, but I find that doesn't work too good. So you probably wonder what I'm doing here. I thought it would have gone a lot easier. So just getting this to line up, and if it's any way off, it obviously it doesn't want to go. Yeah, I need to get a bit of a hammer, give it a tap. And make sure it's just enough for the screw to fit. Alright, hopefully that's it. Beauty. Again, if there's any grit in here, that can cause it to get stuck as well. What I did notice is a little bit of I think that's what didn't help either. This could have gone in a tiny bit. I think there was a bit of pressure on the wall there. Alright, so now this is on, I can actually now stand the gearbox up. So now that she's up, I can actually now put my plate on here. So I've already put the gasket on it. However, just before I put it on, you know, the washers are normally a little bit smaller than this, but these are torqued to 20 as well. These are coarse threads, pretty thick coarse threads. So when you take your bolts out, don't get rid of them because the normal fine thread doesn't go in. I don't know why you keep crossing between fine and coarse. Stick to one. We'll get there eventually. Could you put lock washers in here? Absolutely. There you go, 2. Alright, so there, press that 20 pounds again. And again, we want to make sure we have nice movement down here. If it sits up, you can see. Oh, there we go, stop moving. Okay. So again, nice movement in here. Hopefully no sounds of crunchy bits. And it's up to you. If you hear any crunchy bits, then it could be just a little grit that's gotten in there. Alright, so now that's done. That's pretty much the bottom end of the gearbox done. Next would be the main shaft to go in. So, before we put the main shaft on, we need to start assembling some of it first. So, let me take this to the side. Bring in the main shaft. Alright, here's our main shaft. So what we're just going to do on this is like what we've done the other one. We're just going to, the section we checked for our end play, we're just going to build that section with the gears as well. So if you remember where all our stuff is, so here's our washer first. You could go down further to here. You could start from this end if you really wanted it. It's a little irrelevant. Because the gearing slides all the way across. You can go this way. You can put the gearing on first, then the washer, and so on. So I'm just going to put these on because they lock in and it keeps them, and that way I don't lose them. Alright, so that was in. So the next one to go in then is our third gear, if I'm correct. Should be the third gear one in first. So it is, I just remember it's the second and third. I have to look at it again. That's the thing about having the manual, just to make sure you go first. Alright, second gear first. Sorry, this is the second gear bushing. I'm getting mixed up myself, honestly. So, second gear, and we have to go get our second gear sprocket. Here's our second gear sprocket. So that's going to sit in here. Actually, put some oil on it. Again, be mindful to make sure you see the hole where the oil goes through to make sure even it's on the right side. So that's that one. Oh, sorry, I need to put it the wrong way. There's one. The next one is our other gear, and I find our bushing. Again, like I said, this is to the outside. And if you have an old one, you might see the tread mark where it was. I'll say the mark of where it was left behind, should I say. There's 1, 2. The next one to go on then is our retainer ring. And at this stage I can stand it upright again, like I've done before. Hang on, I'm full of grease. And then finally we have our sear clip, or locking clip. As I said, like I said, I took the grinder and I grinded in a little edge to it just to give me something to bite onto. Because these are terrible to pull on. Well, the new one is, there's nothing to grip onto. So. God, that's stiff. Oof. I'm just waiting for it to break off it, like pop off it. As you can see, it's done it a few times and I've taken a few chunks out of my fingers doing this. Oh God, this is pretty stiff, this new one. I'm worse, I'm just waiting for it to break off. And once you do it once, you lose that grip. So I need to turn it so I can actually see. You see the one to go on. It's half on. Once you get it onto the actual spline, it's not bad. Of course, this is a struggle you have, and without the grip in it, I would have been even worse again. Oh, here we go. Whew. Alright, once that's on, straighten her up a bit. And just push it enough to slide it home. The last little bit, you'll have to tap in, only because you're never going to get it down. Where's that chisel do? It says once this clip is on, it ain't coming off. Here we go. So our new clip is on, and now we have our section of gearing done. So that's that section. The next part, oops, a fly in here. The next section now we're going to do is we'll do the rear section that sits up, and again there's a spacer in there, but in the middle is another gear and the synchros as well. So I'll put that all together, and then once that's on, I'll put maybe like I don't know, you can put an elastic band or a rubber band. We'll put it on it to hold it in place as we then slide it into the gearbox, and then we'll start putting start assembling them all together. Here's our input shaft ready to go in. Oh, while I'm on this note, so before I forget, in case I do forget the next one, I'll probably say it again anyway. Bearings. So some of the early gearbox and the later ones differ on the way of the bore size. So these are the two different styles of bearings you can get. Some of them are different. This one, you want to make sure which one fits correctly. Obviously this is the right one to go in. But some of the early boxes, I believe, ran this one. You have to put this bearing in. It has to be pressed in just to make the difference that it actually lines up with here. So it's still a bit of a loose fitting though, compared to this one here. It's a much better fitting. But again, that's based on which gearbox you have. Usually when you get the rebuild kits, you get the two different bearings just in case, because it's universal for whatever gearbox you have. So just bear that in mind, that you will end up with a spare roller bearing when you're finished. In this case, it's definitely this one, hands down. So I'll keep that to the side, but just bear that in mind for when it goes to slip on. There is some more gearing to go in here, but again, we'll do that separate. So yeah, that's it. Here's the gearing that slides on this way. So we have obviously synchro. We have our synchro, and this is the fourth gear. Fourth gear. Yeah, and this is the one that will actually slide on into here. This one, yeah, so it just goes straight on. Just remember, this is the one that has the inner unit. So just remember which way it goes. Just some of them, they do have sides, and they do have springs and ball bearings in there. So just make sure it's the correct one when you're in there. I just put this together, so I had to double check myself that I actually have the correct inner one, because the one on the rear end is the same as well. So yeah, just make sure it's the right piece. Like I said, I stripped all these apart. So because I stripped them apart, I have so many on the thing, I have to double check that it's actually the correct one for it. So yeah. Anyway, we'll go on to that in the next video. I'll have to double check and I'll make sure all the right pieces are together, because I've decided to scatter them all over the place. That's it, and then we'll get the rest of it together, we'll bundle it up, and then we'll start pulling it into the gearbox, and then we'll start doing the rest of the attachments. Yeah, that's it. So thanks for watching, and yeah, as we continue to put our gearbox back together. So I hope this was helpful. Again, any comments, questions, concerns, if I missed anything, like I said, there's other videos out there that goes through the whole how the gearbox works. I'm not trying to do that in this one. If there's anything I missed or any other important piece of information you think is viable, by all means, throw it in the comments section. We're all here to help each other, and that's the aim of the game. So, and I know a lot of people have done it. They've put in some very, very valuable information that I haven't said or so on. And again, it's all helpful. It's all great, and I appreciate that. So yeah, see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.